I do a podcast daily. It's an audio blog, really, about my life. It's a behind the scenes of what I get up to. And I record it more or less every day. Sometimes I record it on like a hand recorder. I haven't got it here. And other times I sit in the studio here and I record it. And I just thought it would be a bit of fun to record today's Naked Englishman, is what it's called, and just video what I do, really. So I'm not really performing to the camera as such. I'm actually going to be talking into the microphone. So I've actually got the tape running because I'm using the audio for that on this, if you see what I mean. So I'll get cracking. So the first thing I need to know is I have to remind myself what day it is, and I think it's the 14th of July, and it's 8:30 in the evening, and that's the thing I reference. So let's go. And I should say there's no music, there's anything. It's just sort of pretty raw. But I just thought it would be fun to record it and stick it on my YouTube channel, just for fun. I know nobody's really watching, so it's fine. Hello and welcome to the Naked Englishman. My name's Richard Vobes. This is the audio diary of my life, my audio journal. Today is July the 14th, 2017, and it's about 8:30 in the evening. And I'm sitting here on my own. Harriet has popped out this evening, so I thought while she was away, I would take this opportunity to record a Naked Englishman, which I tend to do every night, ladies and gentlemen, as indeed you know. I'm still on the water diet, by the way. I've been 3 weeks. I think I've got 1 week left, and I'll have completed a month just on water and water alone. I have to confess, I do put a bit of PLJ, which is pure lemon juice, in occasionally, and I have had a couple of fruit teas. Just very light berry fruit sort of thing. No caffeine, no coffee, no tea, no fizzy drinks, no sugary drinks, no tins of cola or anything like that. Just basically water with the odd bit of flavouring. But on the whole, just a pint. And you know, they said that it's supposed to... When I say they, I'm not talking about medical people. I actually saw this on YouTube. And there was a promotional thing about drinking water, and it said your skin is supposed to be so much better. You're supposed to look younger as your skin improves. Your diet is supposed to be better because if you drink before you have a meal, you're less hungry, or you drink if you're snackish in the day, that's supposed to be good for you. So I've tried all of that. And really, as I get to the third week, I don't know that I'm noticing that much. I'm not a heavy coffee drinker, but I do like my cups of tea. But I'm not really noticing that much different. But I will have the obligatory slurp, as just to prove that I am still on the diet. Of course, I call it a diet, but I'm still eating all the usual food that I eat, which is healthy food. As healthy as, what I mean by that is I'm not a health freak. I don't go around specially finding special beans or weird courgettes or anything like that. I basically just, as you know, I don't eat the processed food and the TV dinners and that sort of thing. I'm not trying to be holier than thou. I'll cook pork chops and veg, and I'll have tuna bake and, that sort of thing. Salads, but no, I'm not specific. I'm not vegan or anything like that, or vegetarian. I'll eat vegetarian. I had a halloumi thing the other day. I just have all sorts of stuff. But in terms of just not having the coffees and teas, I mean, I don't have sugar in coffees and teas. I just have the water. So I just have the teas and coffees. So it's supposed to be. I guess it's really the toxins of the caffeine and stuff. But I can't say I have noticed anything, and maybe you need to do this for 2 or 3 months before you really actually notice anything. Anyway, that's all by the by. So what have I been up to today? You know, ladies and gentlemen, listening to this, that I have been desperately trying to find something on YouTube to work for me. And I know that the key things for YouTube is about getting the search terms, the keywords. If you're going to make it big on YouTube, really and truly, you've got to have a niche so that when somebody puts in, I don't know, what's the price of an iPad, your show is called The Price of an iPad, or how to change the blade on a Flymo lawnmower, your show is how to change the blade on a Flymo, so that there's relevancy. And that's my phone. I should have put it on silent. That's the relevancy. So that's all very important. So, vlogging, which I've just started doing a little bit of vlogging and showing what I get up to in my day, because nobody's searching for me, nobody knows who I am, so why would they find me? As many of my correspondents have told me, they said, nobody's looking for the Vobes, so you're not going to come up in the search engines. It's not a relevant term. So I've been playing around, and I thought, I watched this thing, as I mentioned the other day about this guy called Blippy, and then he's a children's entertainer, and he has a show, and he's had shows of 35 million views. I mean, it's just staggering. And then I saw, got up in the middle of the night, and I was doing some research because I couldn't sleep, and I noticed that there was a Chinese kid who has a channel, and he's looking at toys, just different toys. And I guess he must be about 7 or 8 or 9 or something like that, and his parents are filming him, and it's just as if it was a home movie, just a home movie, no real, what I would call production values. And the one I saw, he was just walking about, and you could hear his mum talking, and it was all handheld, and just him wandering about. 70 million views! 70 million views! And I've crafted things like the Bald Explorer. I've tried with my dimwits, the boneheads as little things, and I've tried all these things, and none of them seem to get any kind of thing. And of course, I've not been making it relevant by putting in the search terms. He's obviously got in, children's toys or something, and they popped up 70 million. So I mucked about today. Well, I say mucked about. I experimented today. I had a long chat with Harriet, and we worked out a sort of plan. I said, I need to work. I've got this spare room, which is my studio. It's very small. There's not much room to walk about. But I thought I write children's books, and I used to have a children's television series on ITV in the 1990s, and I've written children's television programs, and I've pitched children's television programs, and I've been a children's entertainer as well as an adult entertainer, juggling, unicycling, fire eating, and all that kind of stuff. And I used to do loads of silly characters, costume characters, dressing up, and all of that malarkey. And I figured, well, why don't I use all those skills? Play to your strengths, they say. And but I have limitations. I'm on my own. I don't have a cameraman, so I have to have the camera locked off, which means on a tripod, stationary. And in order to sort of get noticed, you have to have a lot of content, because these guys' archives are 50, 100, 200, 300 videos. They've been doing it for a while. So I made this, we chatted about this, and we realized I need to sort of work out what the niche is, what the keyword search is, and the relevancy to that, and then the practicalities of getting shows out perhaps on a daily basis or every other day, just to sort of get the archive, so that in a year you've got a couple of hundred shows. And hopefully in 6 months you've got some leverage getting the stuff out there. So that was the plan. So I've got a character in mind, and I've spent ages sort of decking out the other side of the studio so that it looked like a secret den, this character's little sort of hideaway. And then I spent some time trying to get the lighting right, and then I did some tests. And I was not working to a script. I was just mucking about, really, just to see how I looked and how the studio space looked. And I spent a lot of time just, chucking things around. I wanted it as a sort of slapsticky type show. So what I was doing was not trying to get the content right. It was just improvising nonsense of just prattling about, just to see the look and get a feel for the character, a feel for him in his costume and in his environment, and how it would look to somebody else. And I did all of that, mucked about, spent most of the day doing this, and I could tell you, it was rubbish. It looked like somebody dressed up in a silly outfit in his back room, mucking about with a camera that didn't move or do anything. A grown man, to me, it looked like it was such a terrible thing. Now, of course, Harriet looked at it, and she isn't really into this whole business at all. She thinks it's mad, but then she can appreciate that if it's for a children's audience, it's not aimed at her. She's a grown woman, and this is aimed at kids, and so I'm mucking about doing silly voices and all this sort of stuff. And but when I looked at it, I just thought, the production values are so bad, it really looks quite naff, and comparing it to what other people are doing who are already up there. I mean, they may have started off really badly, but they're the ones that are coming up with the search terms, and they have cartoons and animation, and they're obviously making money and they're doing well, even though it's an in-house one-man or two or three people production. They can afford to farm out the animation stuff, and they've got a big screen. And usually most of them are American. And the advantage the Americans have over us Brits is generally, everything's bigger in America. Their houses are bigger. They have more space. They have big basements, and they have, everything's bigger. Whereas here, I'm in a Victorian terraced house, and we're used to things being sandwich box. So this is very much like a broom cupboard studio. And in an ideal world, you could have puppets and that sort of thing, I suppose, going and talk to some puppets and like a sooty and sweep show. But, somebody's got to operate them, or I'd have to have one puppet and talk to it, I suppose. So, that's a possibility. That is a possibility. And just have this one camera. Anyway, so far my experiments have failed. I'm not downhearted, because failure is about learning what doesn't work. Obviously, if you continually to have stuff that doesn't work, it's very annoying because you do want to hit upon the thing that works, and I'm hoping that I will. And there's two sides to me. I do the Bald Explorer, which is something that is for a grown-up audience, but that's out and about. That's in the countryside, it's in towns and stuff. I can't really do that on my own. You do need a camera person to help you, because it's very difficult to try and do that all on your own, especially when there's other people about and you want a long shot from the other side of the road and you're emerging from a building. You can't leave your camera over there and then walk over the other side of the road, because somebody will nick it. And you've got to line up and focus and pull focus and pan as you walk and all that. You do need that cameraman. And this is the problem I have. I am literally on my own. There's no one to help me. And also the other thing is trying to get these shows out on a regular basis. You need somebody who is available, and that's another big problem. So far I'm I have little to report. I had this, the children's market is one thing, but maybe I did think, well, I can lock off the camera. I could do a show in the studio where I'm talking about something, but it has to be something people are searching for. And I thought maybe news. It could be about reacting to news, my take on the news. But would people really be that interested in what I've got to say about the news, about quirky stories in the news? Would they be looking for me to tell it? And if they searched in, quirky fun story, if they happened to put that in and that was my heading on the thing, and I'm sitting there giving a quirky fun story, would they think that I was the right person to do it? Or are they looking for somebody famous or somebody, larking about? There seems to be a lot of larking about on YouTube, and it's very difficult to do that larking about on your own, especially in such a kind of limited space. So I'm still trying to search it, but it is the kids stuff is a great way to communicate with the children. So maybe I need to get a puppet and just do a show where I'm talking to a puppet in some way, as a character. Maybe the character sitting here talking to the puppet or something. Because when you can, the children's channels are getting these extreme numbers, and I've got the schools lined up, or some schools now lined up for visits as an author, and I do mime, my little mime that I do, my mime workshops, and going in as an author. So I've got those lined up. I've got a few more in today. I was emailing out to some schools and got some responses, so that's really nice. Going to be visiting some more academies, which is fantastic, and I'm very excited about that. But the great thing is then if I could make myself somebody that the kids knew, and you could go to more schools and visit as your character and maybe take your puppets and that sort of thing. So maybe that's what I need to do. I would love to have my character running around outside down on the seafront and up and over the downs and that sort of stuff. But again, I need the cameraman. I need someone to come with me. So until I can quite get that worked out, it didn't quite work. But I'm away now, ladies and gentlemen, going up to Harriet Land. We're going up first thing tomorrow morning. And so Billy and Sharifa and I think my sister's going to be here looking after the fort, and no doubt coming in the studio and doing their own, very successful podcasts and things, and YouTube channel. So that's all very interesting and jolly. So I'm going to be away, but I'll take the Zoom and I'll record that on the Naked Englishman and let you know. But I kind of need a bit of a time away myself and some thinking time to think, what could I do? I haven't given up. I'm just sort of trying to work out maybe other ways to do it. But so that's where we are. That's what I've done today. So it was a frustrating day in one way, but it was a learning day in another. So I'm not downhearted. Thank you for your emails. That's very kind. Thank you to Robert Reed. I have a couple of emails from him, which I need to reply to. And everybody else who's been in touch, and thank you for your comments on the YouTube. Don't forget, if you are watching the YouTube channels, I really appreciate those comments, so stick them underneath the videos. That would be great. And I will catch up with you on the next one. Until that time, thank you and goodbye. So there we are. That's the audio recorded now for the podcast. I'm going to sort that out. And of course, upload this video as well. If you're interested in the Naked Englishman and want to listen to my audio blog, which is a lot more regular than these videos, well, I have to say it is a Patreon-supported podcast, so that's probably put you off for a start. But I think it's something as little as $1 a month, and you'll get, I don't know, between 20 and 30, usually 30-minute podcasts in that month for $1, so that's not bad. You can either go to the Patreon website and look for Richard Vobes, but the best place to start is nakedenglishman.co.uk if you're interested and find out more about what I do and what I get up to. So I'm going to sign off now from the video as well and sort out my bits and pieces, and thank you very much for looking. And if you do have any comments based on what I was talking about, with the children's YouTube channel and thoughts on, see, I don't really have a niche as such. I'm a performer and a children's entertainer as well as an adult performer, not adult as in, striptease sort of stuff, as a grown-up, as just an ordinary performer and presenter and writer and all those other things. So my niche is sort of a bit skewed, really. But anyway, I will see you on the next one. Thank you. Goodbye.